Triple XP. Triple XP.
When?
Nice. Welcome to Triple XP. This is episode 17. I'm Shane, and this week we have no Mike because he's off doing something really unimportant. But instead, we are joined by Cheese, who's filling in for Mike,
Hello, hello.
and Jedi's joining us again.
Hey, everyone.
So, as always, you can find us on YouTube, Spotify, and all the other important podcast places. On this week's episode, we discuss the situation with Xbox Gold pricing. We find out what Cheese and Jedi have been playing, and we discuss what games we wish had sequels. But before any of that, how are you both?
Good. Doing well.
Yep, same here. I think last time I was on, I had just done through a submission at work, so I was kind of taking a breather. Same thing right now. Just got through a second submission, taking a breather. I'm good.
And I'm on a diet, and I went to the gym this morning, and now I'm taking a breather because I'm out of shape and out of breath.
Nice. So, because I like, it's difficult to keep up what's going on in America and the best of times, let alone right now.
Oh yeah, we could have gone. Yeah, we could have. Yeah, we could have gone on about that for a while.
But like every week, obviously we've been having little updates around the COVID situation. What is it like where you are now? Because we're still in a full national lockdown, not allowed to leave your house unless if it's absolutely necessary sort of situation.
Yeah.
Where are you guys at in your areas?
I mean, we don't have a national lockdown because we haven't done that. I think nationally they're saying we're going to target 100 days of everyone wearing a mask, but that's not going to happen. Our area is still in purple in California, which is the highest level we can be. So it's still pretty dangerous for us over here.
Yeah, I don't think we have a color, but our governor's also not handling it as I think it should be handled. But who am I? Anyway, I think we're starting to stop testing so much, but our cases are going up. And those super strands like the UK had are starting to come over. And I know California is really bad. I think they said something like lots of deaths are coming out of it. But here it seems like life is normal, which is the bad thing. So we're supposed to be getting our vaccine soon. I've signed up, but I just saw on the news today that there's an immense shortage of vaccines compared to what people are supposed to be getting. So then people aren't getting vaccinated, which just keeps the cycle going. So it's not horrible here, but we're still wearing our masks and we're still staying home and trying to be safe.
Fair enough. That's good. And that's the main thing, staying safe. And interestingly, it's probably the worst claim to fame ever.
Yeah.
But the super strain that you referred to was actually first discovered in the area that I live in.
Way to go, Shane.
Are you the outbreak monkey?
I am not the outbreak monkey. I've yet to have, or at least I haven't ever tested positive for it. So
Patient
if I've been
zero right
asymptomatic, I've missed it. But I have had multiple tests and they've always come back negative. So it's all, hopefully it's all good. It's not, it's not me.
Do you do the back of the nose swab or the throat swab?
Both.
The nose
both.
one is rough. Not a fun time.
Honestly, when I had it, I was crying and gagging. It looked like the end of some very dodgy porno.
Yeah, you feel kind of violated after. Like, it doesn't hurt that bad. It's just a weird sensation. But then, like, the back of your throat feels all dry and scratchy. And you're like, what just happened? And why was that necessary? I would not sign up to do it again if I didn't have to.
Yeah, the first time we had to do it, we did the drive-through one.
Yep.
And having to drive immediately out of there when something was just poking my brain, no.
Yep.
Sorry,
Well, and
it was rough.
we had a drive-through one too, but it looked like a scene from E.T. where like the National Guard is there, and then they have these giant tents that you drive through, and they're like, you have to hold out your phone, keep your window rolled up. Here's a Kleenex, blow, and then set those somewhere else. It was weird. Not a fan.
I enjoy that you had like the National Guard and everything, and literally our drive-through was a table with Pablo the nurse who just reached in your window, poked you in the mouth and nose, and then left.
Yeah, ours looked like It was bad. It was weird. It looked like an alien invasion site where you had to go through and shower off and get decontaminated. It was weird. It was a lot.
Yeah, like the nurses over near us had the hazmat suits on
Yep.
and everything. So it was just like, don't cough on me, please. Don't sneeze on me. If you need, you turn your head. It's like,
Yeah, and the worst part is when before they go into your nose, they make you blow your nose, so they hand you a couple of tissues, but then they don't give you like a garbage can to put them in. So you're like these used Kleenex you just set next to you in your car. It's awkward, but it's what we had to do.
But you're staying safe, and that's the important thing.
Yep.
Should we move on to the news then?
Yes.
We'll be discussing weird COVID things all night. Cheese, are you happy for us to end the news with your
Yes.
your story? Because I think your one, so it's a good one to tie it all together at the end. So
Sure.
in that case, Jedi, should we start with yours?
sure thing, yeah. So this actually just happened yesterday. This is, aside from Xbox games not really showing much gameplay or not really coming out, Xbox as a company has been doing really well in terms of getting things on track after the launch of Xbox One. Well, yesterday they decided to go ahead and hike up the price of Xbox Gold. For those over here in the States, $60 gets you a full year of Xbox Live for 12 months. That's what it is. The new pricing would have been $60 for 6 months, so they doubled it. Needless to say, lots of backlash for that. Lots of people complaining. It was a bad move. Like, really, we're at a point where people don't have jobs. Games are hard to come by. Games are kind of what we want, and they doubled their price for Xbox Gold. I would say it gave them 10 hours, and they immediately reversed it, came back and said, hey, you know what? We done fucked up. You guys were right to yell at us. And, oh, by the way, all free-to-play games from Xbox Gold, you don't need Xbox Gold anymore. Just go ahead and have those for free. So they went ahead and did a big 180 on what they tried to roll out there. For a company that has been trying to do the best in terms of their own image, it was a weird move for them to double it in basically a global pandemic. But glad that once everyone yelled at them, they reversed it.
Yeah, it's a bit of an odd one because it goes against their whole ethos at the moment of the being for the. I mean, they're not using the term for the player because that's Sony's thing, isn't it? But about it being about the game, and being about the player, like that's their big ethos at the moment, and they don't want to take gaming away from anyone, and they want to give everyone the best opportunities to be able to play as many games as possible. And then you go, yeah, but we're going to charge you double. It just goes against everything that they've said.
I do think
really.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
You go ahead.
I'll go.
Okay.
It really feels like a biz dev decision where some guy came and said, you know what? We just got all of Bethesda. This is worth more than what we're charging right now. Let's go ahead and just do it. And it just, again, it goes against the image they had been putting together.
I think it's more about them pushing people towards Game Pass because they want to make more money out of that. So the more people they have that are paying for it, the more they can give. It's like Netflix. If Netflix had 10% of their current subscribers, we would get a lot worse content. They just wouldn't be able to afford it. So I think, because I read some stuff about this yesterday, and a lot of it said that, according to speculation, that they were just going to push people towards Game Pass Platinum or Pro or whatever it's called. I don't remember. Because Game Pass is popular. I mean, I have it. I don't have an Xbox, but I have the PC version, and there's actually a pretty big gap between what Xbox players get and what PC players get, especially in when we get it. PC gets it eventually, but if they're pushing people away from Xbox Gold, which I think Xbox Live in whatever sense has been around since the 360 at least, maybe even back to the original Xbox towards the end, I think.
I think it was original Xbox.
Yeah, because I remember Halo 2 maybe had online multiplayer. But
yeah.
But I mean, for them to push towards Game Pass makes sense. They did it in the wrong way. They should have been like, oh, as of January 1st, 2022, we will no longer have this service. Instead, this is what your option is. Versus like, oh, your prices are going up right now and you don't have a choice. Terrible.
And they were trying to roll it out in the way that anybody that currently is paying for Xbox Gold, that price hasn't changed. You're
Right.
grandfathered in, you keep that. Anybody new that wants it, now you have to pay the double. But still, just all bad optics all around.
Yeah, but how dumb.
Yeah.
Like, if I got an Xbox for Christmas and you already had one, now I have to pay double just to have access to the same shit you get. That's backwards. That's like a weird push, especially after a new console release.
Yeah, definitely. I had this image this morning when I read because obviously it dropped yesterday, didn't it? The price increased, and then it was early hours of this morning for us in the UK. At least it was probably like late last night for you guys that they did the reversal. And the first thing I thought when I read it was that there was some money-hungry executive has made this decision, and then Phil Spencer just come and kick the door in and be like, "What the hell have you done? Reverse it." Just Phil come to save the day, like, no, we're not doing that. But no, you're right, and it's interesting because I mean I was looking at Twitter when this news dropped, and I mean over at Triple XP we don't care for the console war, but it was just fuel to that console war that's going on between that people care about. We still don't really understand why people care about it, but all I kept seeing is Xbox this much, PS5 this much, and it was just like, this is getting ridiculous now. You're feeding into it unnecessarily. But yeah, it was a very odd move. And then, as you say, not only have they done a 180, but they've almost gone a little bit further and gone, well, yeah, we fucked up really bad here, so we're going to give you loads of free shit as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, and of course, the tinfoil hats out there are saying it was all planned from the beginning to do it this way. They just wanted to generate the buzz. But nah, this was definitely a screw up, and I actually agree with you, Shane. I think Phil Spencer kicked in the door, called people and said, this was stupid, this is not gamer-centric, change it now. Let's go.
Yeah, I mean, no one's ever going to admit to that, but that, in my mind, that Phil's the saviour of Xbox, so if anybody turned that round, it was Phil.
Yeah, fully agree.
And, I mean, he's built big enough to kick a door in as well.
He can do it. Kick 2 doors.
Yeah.
He doesn't care.
He's a very well-built man. Like, he could do it. I'm sure that they probably, like, built Gears of War off him, didn't they? All the characters in them are all based off of Phil.
I mean, I think if anything, this year we should send this to him and see if we can get him on Triple XP.
Yeah.
100%. We should.
Flattering.
That would be a dream come true to have an interview with Phil Spencer. That'd be fantastic. Yeah. Well. Okay. So moving away from that, then, before we continue to flatter Phil Spencer. So the news that I'm bringing this week is, as this also dropped in the last few days, is that Apple is planning to launch a VR headset. So I don't know if you guys have seen anything about this.
I have not.
Not yet.
So it's very limited details at the moment, but recently where we've had CES not that long ago, and a lot of companies are talking about what different tech they've got coming out, and Apple have apparently been dabbling in VR or the idea of VR for a while anyway. And they've basically, it's been confirmed, or there were some leaks, I'm not sure how the information got out there, but some information got out that they are building a VR headset. It's going to be battery operated. The initial designs were too heavy and too bulky, so they're working on trying to make it a little less heavy. It's going to, from what I've read, is apparently one of the leaks says that it's going to have like fabric holding it together to make it lighter. I mean, I mean, Apple are very clever. I'm sure they can make it sturdy, but it confuses me. Built-in fans, and I mean, I'm not a fan of Apple personally, but you can't fault their tech. Their tech is very good. When it comes to their technology, they know what they're doing. They're also working on an AR set of glasses, like a Google Glass style thing. But apparently this VR headset is looking to arrive before that. I did have an article here from The Verge, which I will send to Mike to put with the show notes when he puts out the episode, which he probably won't do, as we learn every week that we send him these links and he never puts them up. But yeah, it says pretty much what I'm just saying there. The initial prototypes are too big and too heavy. They're including a fan, and they're apparently looking at a fabric exterior to reduce the weight. And it's going to be sort of similar to the Oculus Quest. That's the comparison that the Verge are giving it. That's kind of where they're going to go down. But this is an interesting one for me because I don't know if you guys know much about Apple and the gaming market. Obviously, they've got their mobile game like subscription service. Mm-hmm. I know they've got Apple TV. Outside of that, have they dabbled much in the gaming area? Like
In terms of
PC,
hardware, not really. And I don't know if they want to use this for games. Who knows what they want to use this for?
yeah, I suppose it could be for more for like films and using your phone and
Apple TV, yeah, or Apple Plus or whatever they call it. Apple TV
yeah,
Plus, I think.
VR, TikTok.
Yeah. The thing I'm a little worried about is, and I used to love Apple. Everything I had was Apple, and now I'm slowly shifting away from that. If I didn't have an Apple Watch, I'd probably buy like a Google Pixel phone or something by now, but especially after I kind of dabbled in PC. But if they're going to compare it to the Oculus, I think the Oculus Quest is like $299, $300 in the US.
Mm-hmm.
Apple's going to come out and it's going to be like 500 or $600. That's just what they do, but it's
They're
Apple.
they're targeting 1,000 for this.
Oh my
Yeah,
God.
they have stated it's going to be very expensive, and but that's Apple, isn't it? That is the Apple trademark, that it's expensive. Like, is there anything that's Apple made that isn't expensive?
No. But the thing is, too, like, this was my argument. This is the reason I built a PC. I have an iMac sitting not far from me across the room, and it's a 2014 model, so it's not even that old. Bought it when I was in college because I needed it for design stuff. I didn't need an Apple, but, you know, Apple and design work goes pretty well together. Anyway, I bought this thing. It was expensive, and now the operating system can't be upgraded because the hardware is too old. So it's literally a useless. I mean, I could still watch Netflix and Google and email on it, but why? I have an expensive computer. So I built my computer for half that, and it's going to last as long as I need it to because I can just upgrade a piece at a time. So I don't really know where I'm going with this, but $1,000 for a VR that they don't know what they're going to use it for yet seems like a very expensive piece of technology. It's going to look nice and probably be solid for a few years, but if you can't play cool games on it, like they're not going to have access to Batman VR or whatever on PlayStation VR store or whatever, right?
Well, I mean, who knows what they're going to have access to? But I think what you've got to remember with Apple, and I know that and I mean, you guys can tell me if it's any different in America, but I know that over here it's slowly coming away from this. But Apple is essentially the Air Jordans of the computer world. Like, you could, if I walk into a room and say I've got a laptop, no one cares. If you say you've got a Mac, it's a status symbol, isn't it?
Oh yes,
Pretty much.
You can have a smartphone, but if you've got an iPhone, people automatically know that it's quality and automatically know that you've spent a lot of money on it because it's that status symbol.
right.
It's like owning a Ferrari. As a car, yeah, it can go fast. It's not massively any better than any other car, though, is it?
Right.
It's an engine with wheels.
Well, and that's what I meant, I think, when I was talking about the iMac versus a PC thing is like, yeah, you know, it's going to be durable and it's going to be awesome for a few years, but then after that, it's literally rendered useless just by the way that they manage their hardware. You just can't do much. So if you're spending $1,000 versus $300 on an Oculus, your Oculus might last you twice as long, or it could last half as long, but then you can buy two more of them and still save money. Like, it's just the way that they value the streamlined design that these people love. It's just because it's the name on the back of it. It doesn't matter what it does. That's where I try to convince people all the time to do their research, talk to people who have the product. iPhone's not a great example for Apple, I don't think, because it's a little bit different than everything else. Yeah, it eventually is rendered useless, but for what you need it for the 2 to 5 years, it's pretty solid. It doesn't stop working, but kind of.
There is a concern I have with the Apple VR, and it's the same issue that I have with iPhones and with Macs and basically anything Apple, is that it's their the way that Apple deal with third parties, in that they pretty much just don't allow them.
Yeah.
It's the Apple way or no way.
Yeah.
And that concerns me going into a VR headset, is that, like you say, is there going to be a lot of content that's already VR made that's going to be locked out because it's not Apple approved,
like
or
Beat Saber
Apple made?
or any of those popular ones. Yeah. I think Apple as a brand is built for loyal customers. They're counting on you to buy the new iPhone every year, every 2 years. They're counting on you to buy the new MacBook every 3 to 4 years. They're not expecting you to buy one thing and be done. They want you to come back. They know you're going to come back, and they know you're going to spend an outrageous amount of money on whatever it is, and it works. Like they're
Yeah.
succeeding. There's a reason they're one of the most profitable. They have more money than, well, the U.S., but that's not a great example. I have more money than the U.S. because we're so far in debt. But like Apple is successful at what they do. They're very good at it, and they kind of set the bar for everybody else to reach. And most of those companies surpass that bar, but nobody really knows that because they're like, ooh, Apple's shiny and new, and we know they're reliable. So let's go with them instead.
Yeah. Jedi, you look like you had something to say on the matter.
Yeah, so a little bit about me is I work at a studio that focuses heavily in VR. Building for VR, building games, building apps for VR is very niche. The amount of people that have a VR console to make it successful is very small. And when you think of video games and Apple, like you don't see high-end video games going over to Macs. It's just a little bit more difficult to get onto their architecture. So getting any of these games to come out and be on Oculus, be on PlayStation VR, be on Apple, you're asking a hell of a lot of a team that is putting a lot of effort into a game that they know is not going to make them a lot of money. It's a weird one to say here's $1,000 headset, but it might work if Apple is looking to maybe unify some stuff. I don't see it succeeding like they do because VR just really doesn't make money.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. I can see that.
I do think part of this comes down to, this will be my last comment so we can move on, but the Oculus is tied to Facebook, and that could be a death sentence for Oculus, I think, especially nowadays. Facebook is under so much scrutiny, but so is Apple, but not as much as like Facebook and Google and these technology giants right now. But like you have to have a Facebook account to log into Oculus. Like
but on the back of that though is that because part of that deal is that Microsoft is tied to Facebook now.
It is.
Is that right?
What's tied to Facebook?
Don't Microsoft have like a deal with Facebook now? They've got like some sort of deal going on. Because that was like what happened with Mixer shutting down and Facebook being linked to...
so for the streaming, right? I think that the deal was just here. Facebook, give us money. We're going to give you all of our users. Thank you. I don't know what the deal is exactly there though.
Let me have a look.
That would be interesting.
And I mean,
yes. So, so Jedi, just to clarify this point. So, so the Mixer thing was just that they put them over to Facebook, but as part of the deal, Microsoft will work to bring its xCloud game streaming service to Facebook, which could obviously like linking heavily with Oculus if any of those VR titles go onto that service. So, although yes, you're right in that Oculus is going to struggle on that front, it's going to kind of have albeit through a third party, a Microsoft backing. PlayStation,
no, I see that,
whereas the PSVR has obviously got the PlayStation backing. Where is the gaming side backing for Apple?
It's not there. They're trying to build it like they always do with their own stuff.
Yeah.
It's an odd one. It's an odd one. But anyway, moving on then. Cheese, this is a piece of news that only really you can talk about.
Yes, I've been given the blessing to talk about this, but Triple XP podcast is expecting a child, and the child is Cheese FM. So Cheese FM is something that I used to do on my own stream. It was just kind of this tacky little talk show type thing where I'd play some like cheesy music, but when I wasn't allowed, but I did it anyway. It was less frowned upon. And then that became not safe. So I stopped doing it, but it was something that I loved to do. It was just kind of me talking like a DJ, and I dedicate songs to people. And I was like, I think I could do something with this. So after Triple XP did their mental health episode, I reached out to Shane and Mike, and I was like, hey, what do you think about a podcast where Triple XP is going to be like the parent, and then since I'm already part of the Triple XP family, I would just be another podcast in the umbrella of Triple XP. So I'll have them on as guests. I'll have Jedi on as guest. I'll have the Triple XP family, and then I'll go outside of that. I'll focus on anything but gaming. I'm sure it'll come up in conversation, but gaming is Triple XP's thing. Cheese FM is going to be more, I'm calling it life, love, and cheese. So we're going to talk about anything from relationships, mental health, hobbies, just people's experiences. We're going to bring in some new people. We're going to hear their stories, and we're going to hope that some people will learn some stuff, because I think there's a lot of things. Mental health is maybe the most obvious one where it's nice to hear that you're not alone. You think certain things, you feel certain ways. And it's the same thing with like my brother just had a kid and one of my friends is expecting his first kid. So I think to bring both of them into an episode would be very interesting for everybody to hear the anxieties that they go through as expecting fathers and as new fathers. And so I'm going to touch on a lot of different stuff. We'll talk about some cheese, I'm sure. We'll do all sorts of interesting stuff. We'll do like an advice section where people can like write in and ask for certain things that they want me to talk about. It's going to be interesting. So that should be coming soon. Hopefully, I don't know what I'm trying to say. Anyway, I hope to record a couple episodes so we can put them out coming up. So I'm excited, and I'm excited to be part of the Triple XP family even more.
Yeah, we're looking forward to this. We haven't, in discussions with Cheese, we haven't nailed down an exact schedule yet. But what we have got in place is Ryan's been doing some work with the website to get Cheese FM its own page within the website. So that's going to link in with what Cheese was saying about being able to write in. And I know that Ryan's going to do some blog stuff around Cheese FM as well. I think from the discussions we're having with you, we're going to run Cheese FM, or say you are going to run it, because it's already hard enough running one podcast, let alone helping someone run another one. You're going to run it through the through the Triple XP outlets.
Yep.
Make it nice and simple for people to find. So it'll all be in one place. You can go and see Cheese and listen to Cheese FM. And I think from the conversations we've had, and also from what we're doing today, is unlike Triple XP, Cheese FM will hopefully mostly be video as well as audio. So although it's all going to go to Spotify and Podbeam and whatnot, your core focus is on YouTube, isn't it, with video being involved?
I think so. I think you can do video on Spotify though too. I don't know that
Can
for
you?
sure. I know I've watched podcasts that have video on Spotify, so I have a lot to learn, but I'm excited to learn it, and I'm excited to get to interview some people that are our friends but aren't super big gamers. So it'll be interesting to see what their take is on their lives and their hobbies and stuff. So it'll be fun to get started, and hopefully it's coming real soon. If Mike would ever respond to my messages, could have been up by now, but I'm just called out, Mike.
Mike's a nightmare sometimes, but no,
he's busy. It's fine.
Is he ever really busy? Let's be honest. But
restarting Skyrim again.
Yeah, probably. I'm really, really excited for this, because I think of all the years and all the times when a podcast about emotions and relationships and hobbies and everything else going on in life, this year, where, let's be honest, we all know that this COVID situation isn't going away anytime soon.
Yep.
This year is a really good year to sort of start talking to people about those parts of their lives and get into those conversations a little bit more, especially when you say, like, talking about emotions and mental health. It's a very good subject and a strong subject that arguably we all need to talk about more. So,
and I think
I'm very excited for it.
I think that'll be the first episode with you and Mike will be my first guests, I'm hoping. And we'll talk about 2020 and what we learned, both like about ourselves with our mental health and like the things that we need. But also how like it affects like my grandpa needs that family interaction, even if it's a Zoom call for 30 minutes. Like, it's something he needs. And we might not all want to hang out with our family on Zoom calls all the time, but we know that some people rely on that to keep them going through a tough time where they're stuck in their house. He's 80 something years old, so he can't leave. So it's just things like that where you kind of learn about what other people need, learn to be a little less selfish, just kind of adapt. And it'll be an interesting thing to talk about, because I know it affects all of us much differently, especially, what Jedi's going through on his side of the country versus my side of the country versus your country across the seas. It's all different, and it's going to be fun to talk about.
Yeah, definitely. Jedi, have you got anything?
Coming. It's been a long time coming. He's been talking about this since, I want to say, September, October. I've been waiting for this, and I'm excited for it. I'm there day one to listen to that. I can't wait, dude. I'm happy for you.
And I wasn't sure how to do it. It just took me time to figure it out, put the pieces together, and reach out to Mike and Shane and say, hey, what do you think about this? And they were very supportive.
You need two guinea pigs.
Yeah,
Really
and
good.
in honesty, I just want you to get on with it now because I'm bored of hearing about it.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, really? Yeah, exactly. Like 100%. Shut up
Like,
and just do it.
literally every week, like, yeah, I'm gonna get it all sorted out this week, Shane. I'm gonna spend some time sorting it out. Have you done it yet, Chase? No.
It's
No,
literally
I got
sorted
the-
out right now. That's how we're recording this right now, is with my setup. So it's ready to go. I need some design elements, and I'm working on it. We'll get it. We'll get there.
And the only time I will defend Cheese is for Christmas break. Him and I had the same plans to do stuff for 2 weeks while we was break, but our wives both were like, no, you need to do stuff with me, and that's nothing you want. So 2 weeks that was supposed to be ours got fucking wasted.
I didn't even touch my computer or PlayStation 5 the entire 2 weeks I was off work.
I feel like that was probably a misjudgment on your behalf.
Yeah, it was. I feel stupid for thinking I had free time. That was my fault. So yeah.
I mean, I'm sure that's how the wives see it. So
Yeah.
Love you, wife.
So on that note, then, shall we move on before we dig ourselves into a bigger hole?
Yup.
So what we've been playing this week, Jedi, as our official guest, do you want to kick us off?
I'll start off on the smaller game that I've been playing this week. The first game that I have been playing, it was this game called Monstrum 2. I was lucky enough to get a early access code to play it. It's very much a Dead by Daylight-esque game where it's 4 prisoners against a monster. It was really fun. The monster, extremely OP. But the reason I like this is because those that play Dead by Daylight know that it's basically a spacebar simulator. As a survivor, you just go and press spacebar, hold it. This one here, as the survivors, you have to find tools to activate generators. It's really creative in that sense. They still need to do balancing because every time the monster played, the monster just destroyed everybody. But absolutely, I do see that it has potentials. It has better mechanics, and I can't wait for it to launch because it might be an actual multiplayer game that I play. Seriously, Cheese, I will play a multiplayer game with you. I promise.
Yeah, allegedly.
So
No.
is it first person or third person or top down?
It's first. It's first person.
First person. Okay, so is it? Because I mean, I know you said Dead by Daylight, and I can't picture it in my head at all. But all I can think about right now is because you said monsters evolve.
So honestly, it feels like Evolve in the sense that there's that monster that is just way too OP, and no one's gonna play it if they don't fix that. But yeah, you run around on this basically it's a offshore platform prison, and you're just running around while the monster's trying to hunt you and kill you, and you're just trying to find tools, try to activate generators, and try to get to a helicopter or a sub to get the fuck out of there.
Do you have anything? I can now picture Dead by Daylight. Do you have anything to fight back, or is it like Dead by Daylight? It is
So
solely.
You're supposed to have things to fight back, or at least defend you a little bit. You can pick up a fire extinguisher that puts out, gas or smoke. That didn't do anything, so we just think it was bugged. But the one that did work was you could, for some reason, on a prison, there's a bunch of Polaroid cameras that you can blind the monster with, so you can get away. But I mean, if you're a good enough monster, you just keep hacking and slashing, and you can get through the blindness. But so far, that's it. I do feel that needs to be improved upon, because at least in Dead by Daylight, you could put down obstacles to give you some room if something's chasing you.
Yeah, I'm just thinking about
sorely missing.
all those prisoners taking sexy photos of each other with their Polaroids now.
Yeah, that was my question. I was like, why are there so many fucking Polaroids on this prison? What is going on here? This is disgusting.
It's for the prison yearbook.
And then the other game that I've been playing outside of Monstrum is Demon Souls, the remake.
Sorry, just before you go into Demon's Souls, so Monstrum, is this PC, console, what's
Yes,
it on?
it's PC. At least the build that I played, it was what was it? Closed access yesterday morning. It went to open beta last night. Early access starts up, I think, next week.
Okay, cool. And is it a fairly, because I've not heard of this game at all, so I'm being a bit ignorant about this at the moment, but is it a studio that we know? Is it a fairly new studio, an indie studio?
I want to say it's a studio that's been around. I mean, they came out with Monstrum 1, which was a decent hit. People like that one. I don't know too much about the studio. I didn't really talk to them. Yeah, I wish I could give more and pimp them out and give them a little credit. I think it was like Deep Fish or something. I can't think of their name. Sorry,
Okay.
studio. I enjoyed your game, though.
That's the important thing. He's spreading love for the game.
Yeah, exactly. It was fun. I do think there are some things they need to tweak before it becomes a really good game that sticks. Because right now, again, if you're the monster just destroys. Like it takes out everybody with ease.
The developer is Team Junkfish.
I was close.
Yeah, I mean, you
I
had
don't
the
know,
fish in there.
I had a fish in there. I knew there was a fish in there or something.
And it's, I mean, with these type of games as well, these, I forgot what they call them, these 4v1 style of games. Because there's quite a lot at the moment as well. So, like, there has to be something really different to make them stick. Because obviously we recently had the Predator one, which didn't really land as well as it could have. The Resident Evil, they had a pop at it, didn't they, with their, I can't remember what it was called, but they had that, or is it not out yet? The one that's like a 4v1.
I don't
I
think
can't
I knew
remember
that
what
one.
it's called. Yeah, there was a Resident Evil one that has like a 4v1 multiplayer thing, where they had to, hello kitty, where they had to, it was like 4 survivors, and the one person was able to like put traps and monsters down, and you had to try and survive the room.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, I
It
never
was
played
like
that one.
escape room style thing. Well, I mean, it might not even be out.
I was
yet,
gonna say I
but
didn't think it was out yet.
it might be.
And for me, I don't play the 4v1s. I played Evolve for like a day, and I'm like, no, never again. I never played Dead by Daylight. These games just don't interest me.
Yeah.
That said, jumping into this one with some friends, it was really fun.
Friday the 13th is similar too, but I thought that was a lot of fun.
Yes, I haven't played that, but I have a lot of friends that wanted me to. I think did they shut down the servers finally? I know that they
They did.
stopping all that, which was a shame because that one had promise. But once I heard that they were closing it, I'm not going to waste my.
It's the same thing over and over though too. It seems it's just I don't know. I don't get huge into these games, but they're fun for a little bit with the right group of people and the right setting. If you got like your lights turned off and you're a little freaky, like I watched you play it the other day, Jedi. It's just I don't know. It's not my thing.
So the Resi thing was called Resident Evil Resistance, and it was part of the Resident Evil 3 game. Like you got it as part of that, as part of the remake. And it was a 4v1. But yeah, the point being, there's a lot of these 4v1 games coming out at the moment. So hopefully this one sticks because they can be very hit and miss.
Fully agree with you on that. All right,
but yeah,
so then
anyway,
I'll go into my second game, which is Demon Souls. Basically the way that I've been playing any of the Souls game, I've been going backwards. I started at Sekiro, went to Bloodborne, started Dark Souls 3, kind of put it on pause, and then picked up Demon Souls. This game looks good. It plays very well.
It really does.
I will say this about my observation. I want to say I'm about halfway through. The bosses are easier. The path to the bosses are fucking harder. And honestly, I'll say this right now. The mage, way too overpowered. I think you called this out when you were playing just ranged attacks. They're way too overpowered in this game. I want to say there have been easily 3 bosses that I have just walked in a circle and just blasted them with magic and just walked out of there like, okay, the path to get here, I died so many more times. Again, halfway through the game, I'm only at 20-some deaths, if that.
So have you done, because each world has like 3 stages, doesn't it?
I think so, yes.
So have you done the second stage in any world, or have you done like the first stage and then gone on to the next world?
I've done the first stage in all of them. I've done the second stage in all but one of them. The last boss that I beat was Maneater, which the only thing difficult about that boss, the 2 gargoyles, is the fact there's a platform you can roll off of.
Yeah, there's the 2 things difficult about that is A, that there's 2 of them. So it's immediately more difficult when you're trying to dodge 2 things at once. And B, that not only can you roll it off, but they can knock you off it, which was absolutely disgusting.
I think I want to say I look back on that. I died more by rolling off than them actually taking my health out.
I literally stood by the middle. There was like the fire pit in the middle. You could just stand by that, and they just ran at it. The mechanics for that are broken.
Yeah, it was pretty dumb. I want to say one of the bosses got stuck behind a pillar. It was the whatever flame lurker was. He was behind a pillar and just stayed there. And I'm like, okay, fine.
Yeah, flame.
Blast you to hell.
But Flame Lurker was the one I was going to bring up because the path to Flame Lurker is, if you don't follow like the quick easy path, the actual proper path is a right git.
Yes.
It's a horrible path.
It's what is it? It's the big ass slug. Those things get in the way, as well as whatever glowing orbs blow up when you get near them. Like again, the path is just brutal, but getting over there is fine. And also, I'll say this right now: fuck patches. fuck Patches. That NPC in that game, he is just a dick. And you know what? Someone pointed this out. He's the same asshole that's in other Souls games.
Yeah. I mean, depending on what you do, though, I mean, without any spoilers, certain things could happen to him later on, depending on what you do with certain things.
Okay, I'll have to look into that then. But yeah, so those are the games that I've been playing.
Cool. I mean, I'm a big fan of that Demon Souls game. I do agree with you. In Cheese, you've not played it, have you, Demon Souls?
No. I don't think
No,
I'm in between, like, I wish I knew what you're talking about, and then I'm glad I don't know what you're talking about, because I tried diving into those games one time, and I couldn't do it.
I remember the Bloodborne stream.
Yeah, I try to forget it every day.
Well, I've not tried Sekiro yet, but I agree completely with you, Jedi. Like, going from Bloodborne, where the path feels a little bit more refined and a little bit fairer, but the bosses felt horrible, to this, where, like you say, the path is vile, but the bosses feel like an absolute doddle.
Haven't had any issues with any of them except for Maneater. And again, that wasn't because of him. That's because my dumbass rolled off the ledge too many times.
Yeah, I mean, as I said, I think out of 12 bosses, I think 7 of them I killed solely with range attacks, and they couldn't even hit me. Like, that's the layout of this game.
Little broken.
Yeah, but it's an old game, so you can kind of... It was the first one, wasn't it? It was the first Souls.
I think it was the first big one. They might have had one before it, but yeah, Demon Souls was the precursor to all of them.
Yeah, so you can understand the mechanics being a little bit dated, because they haven't changed anything, have they? They've updated a little, like, combat's a bit smoother, I think, and they've changed the way items work.
I think so. I never played the original, and said I'm going backwards, and I can tell you this: once I'm done with this game, I'm not going to play the original. So
yeah, no,
once it's done, it's getting binned.
Well, the one thing I know with the original is that, so you know when you pick up items and your inventory is full, it automatically sends it to your, like, backup inventory, doesn't it?
Yes.
Well, in the original, that didn't happen. You had to back. Yeah, you had to go back and personally unload your inventory to then go back out and pick things up, which is horrible.
I just want to point out that Jedi said it's going to get binned. He's been hanging out with the British people too much, because that is not something that you would normally say.
I've 100% been hanging out with you lot.
Instead of saying it's getting deleted, you're like, it's getting binned. I'm like, oh God, Mike is here, and it's just Jedi in disguise.
Get in the bin. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that at all. Well then, I mean, both great games. Cheese, what can you follow that up with?
With my games?
I mean, yeah, that's kind of where I was leading with that.
Well, I was just making sure. The first game that I've been playing recently was Deep Rock Galactic. I finally downloaded it. It's on Game Pass for PC. Got a couple.
What is it?
Deep Rock Galactic.
Yeah, no, but what is it? I've never heard of it.
It's it's like a multiplayer. You basically mine, and you try to get through a certain objective while fighting these things that you encounter inside these caves, basically. Right? Is that how you'd explain it, Jedi?
So it's basically that you and a crew head down into a mine. You have objectives to go ahead and mine certain types of minerals.
Yeah.
While you're there, spiders, monsters, anything come the fuck out and just destroy you and just try to attack you. So you and your crew can set it up.
Yeah,
I'll leave it back to you.
I think I've actually seen a stream of this, but I enjoy that we just experienced how not to explain what a video game is and how to explain what a video game is.
I've only played it one time. It was a couple hours, but we only played it once. So you're a crew of 4, and each of the 4 people have their own ability. So one guy's like a scout, one guy's like a heavy gunner, one guy is a light gunner,
driller,
and one's a driller. Yeah. So between your different abilities, you kind of have your own role to play. It's kind of like running dungeons in World of Warcraft or something, where it's not necessarily you have to stick together, but you should, because individually you're weak, but together as a team you're pretty strong. So that's pretty fun. It's a great multiplayer. It's fun to play with a group of people that you know and can communicate with. It's a pretty small download, so it's something that you can kind of hop into last minute. It's only like a couple gig to download. I know Mike used to play this on Xbox a lot. He told me that. It's a little bit scary. It's a little more horror than you expect, because you're in a dark cave and then this stuff just starts coming at you, or they'll pop up in front of you. The one thing I will say, though, we only did 2 missions. quests, whatever they are, assignments, I think maybe they are. And it does get a little repetitive. I don't know if that's just in the very beginning of the game and you unlock new quests, missions, whatever later on. But of the two that we played, and they were a little bit long, it seemed like the same thing again, just with a different map. So it's a fun game. If you have Game Pass PC, it's worth checking out and getting a group together to play it.
I feel like you're just using the repetitive excuse because you're like, I don't want to play it because it made me nearly poo my pants.
No, I actually had a lot of fun playing it. The 3 people I was playing it with were like, that's a little repetitive. I'm not liking this game very much. I'm like, yeah, it was a little repetitive, but it's worth playing a couple more times to see if it goes anywhere. Because if it does, that's awesome. And I know Jedi downloaded it, so we'll check it out and we'll play it again. But
plus, surely, if it's free and it's a couple of gig, even if you only get like 3 or 4 hours out of it,
absolutely,
you've got more than your zero money's worth.
Exactly. Yep.
Like, you can't complain about a free game being too short or too repetitive if you only play it for a couple of hours and then you're done.
Yeah, it was definitely worth checking out. I think there is some replayability to it. You could always try a different role on the team to see what happens. But I know people that play this all the time, so maybe it's worth reaching out to them and seeing if it is the same thing over and over, or if the levels change and it just gets better.
So there actually is one cool thing about this for folks that stream it. I don't know where it's at, but I know the developer has an app or an extension where channel point rewards can go ahead and trigger monsters and events to happen in real time inside of the game or the session you're playing. So I saw someone playing, and the entire channel was just spawning everything that was just so fucked up and vile.
That's
and
pretty
just
cool.
Bombarding them with everything while they're trying to get this mission done. Like that there adds a real good element of replayability.
It's definitely a firefight type game where
yeah.
As you progress through the caves, there's another wave of these things, and they're bigger and stronger and take a little bit more. But then you run out of ammo if you don't do it right, and there's supply drops that you have to get to. It takes some strategy, and I think it'd be a lot of fun with the right people that don't think it's repetitive.
Yeah, and plus, with what Jedi was saying, like there's been a real rise. At least I think I've seen it, and you two still streaming may have the same or different argument to this, but I think there's been a real rise in games where channel points or the audience can influence the game a little bit. Like people like that. They don't just want to watch anymore. They want to be able to influence. They want to be able to get involved a little bit.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea.
Yeah, that's definitely a good thing, and I think more games need to have that element to them. So is this an old, because you said Mike used to play it on Xbox, is this an old game that's had further updates? Is it a new version of an old game? Like, what? I'm confused.
I don't entirely know. Do you know, Jedi?
Nope, not a clue.
Let's see here.
To the internet.
Frantically searching Google.
Looks like it came out the end of February 2018. Got a 10 out of 10 on Steam, which is amazing, I guess, if you count on Steam for any of that stuff. But there's the gunner, the driller, the scout, and the engineer, the 4 classes. But it looks like it's been out a couple of years. And
I mean, 2 years isn't that long for a game of that nature, to be fair. Like that's
3 years now.
Well, it says
about
after about 2 years in early access, it was released in May 2020 for Windows and Xbox One. So it's really not that old, but Mike made it sound like he played it years ago. So
yeah, that's what, when you said that, I was like, oh, what? So he played it like 10 years ago? Is this a really old game? But no, I would argue that's a new game if it actually came out of early access last year.
Yeah, he's the one that brought it up in Discord one time. It's like, hey, we should all play this game. And I'd seen a couple people play it before that. Didn't really pay attention to it. But then I was like, oh, yeah, I'll just download it, and finally got to play it. And I actually enjoyed it. So it's worth it.
Did you learn that anytime Mike ever says, hey, we should download this game, it means he's never going to play it with you?
And it means that I probably shouldn't play it.
You'll download it to play with him, and then he'll never play it with you.
Yeah.
And you'll end up just playing on your own.
The man is busy, maybe.
Nah,
Definitely not.
Yeah.
Although, in fairness, he did spend an entire night with me once playing the Fast and the Furious game. So...
Of all games to spend an entire night on, he picked that.
Look, well, we've had
I,
two.
I didn't think you guys were serious. Like that was a week or so of you guys hyping each other up for that game.
Yeah, no, and it wasn't even multiplayer. Like we got it thinking it was multiplayer, and it wasn't. So we both just single player played the storyline together at the same time on microphone to each other till about 3 a.m. And we previously did a similar thing with Zombie Army Trilogy 4 or 3 or 4, one of the one. And yeah, we just played it all night, completed it, and then was like, yeah, we're done with that now.
Interesting.
We just like finding shit games and then playing them till silly hours in the morning and then being done with them.
Yeah.
It's comical.
Nice. All right,
Anyway,
my second game that I've been playing is Spellbreak. I didn't know anything about this game. One of my buddies was like, hey, there's this free game. It is free. Free game called Spellbreak, and I'm pulling it up to see because it came out recently. I just don't remember when. September of 2020, so it's relatively new. But it's free on Steam. Basically, it's a battle royale style game, which instantly kind of drew me away from it. But you have a gauntlet, basically, and you get to pick a class. There's like fire and ice and wind and poison, and there's a couple more. And you get to kind of pick special abilities too. You get like 6 skill points, and you can pick these different skills. But you also get a second gauntlet that you can control with other keys that you pick up in the game. So it's basically a Fortnite-esque battle royale, but mixed with magic and stuff. So if you think, I kind of think like World of Warcraft races mixed in with the Fortnite-style gameplay. You do squads of 2 or 3. I think you can do solo also, but it's very interesting. There's different types of abilities you can get in the game too, where you get to fly or you get to run faster or something. So it was very interesting. It is free. It's worth checking out. It's kind of fun. It takes a little bit to get used to, but they do start you out with like similar leveled people online. So it takes a little bit time to get used to it, but it's interesting. It was interesting. That's really all I can say. We played it for hours a couple of different times too, and I still don't feel like I was doing anything. Like I don't think I did much damage. I don't think I really got any kills. I kind of just got a participation trophy and an invite to play it. But these were also the same people that complained about Deep Rock Galactic being repetitive, and they play Call of Duty and stuff all the time. So it's kind of funny.
If it makes you feel better, Cheese, I mean, in the last 15 years of gaming, I only ever get a participation trophy. So
yeah, that's me too. I'm the one friend that gets invited when they just really need a third. They just need somebody else to play with. But it is worth checking out. Like I said, it is free. It's a little bit different than your typical battle royale because you have this idea of gauntlets, and you can level them up, and then they become a little bit stronger, and you can change your abilities as you level up and you fight other people.
I mean, I've seen this advertised a lot recently. Like within the last 2 or 3 months, I've seen it. I swear every time I load into something on YouTube or something on Twitch, it was there.
Really?
Showing me a trailer. Yeah, I've seen it more times than I think I've seen any trailer in the last few months. But from what you said, like Fortnite meets Magic, it's very much what it looks like in the trailer. Jedi, have you dabbled in this?
I've never seen it. I shouldn't say I've never seen it. I never played it, but I'm pretty sure I saw Lunchbox or a few people. I think the people that you have been playing with, Cheese. I think I've seen them stream it and play it. Battle Royales, I really don't play too much. The only one I do play would be Apex, but honestly, Magic in a Battle Royale, it's something new. I might give it a try. But yeah, I've been watching. Not watching. I've been seeing Cheese online playing that. I want to say for at least a week or two.
Yeah.
So I might add it to the list of things that I'll play with Cheese, but never get around to.
Story of all of our lives, isn't it?
Yep.
Hey, boy, here's the thing. The shitty thing is, I live on the West Coast, and the UK, you guys are all asleep when I get off work. Cheese is like, I'm winding down my day. I'm not going to play with you. Yeah, I'm going to bed. So I'm just sitting here alone, kicking my can, playing single player. So.
Oh no, it's tough, and this podcast is a prime example of that. We can own when we've got yourself, Jedi, or Ed. We can only ever record on a Saturday because 8 p.m. for me is midday for you, or 2 o'clock in the afternoon for Cheese. Like it's so the time differences are so frustrating.
Stupid time zones.
Yeah.
Like the chance of me playing at 8 or 9 in the evening of playing with you on a weekday is impossible because you're always going to be working. So or asleep. It's challenging, the old time zones, but hey ho. Interesting. Well, shall I go on to my game then?
Please do.
I've got a nice little review for you about Hitman 3.
And I'm excited to hear
So-
this because I want to play this.
Have you guys played the previous Hitman games, for starters?
I never have.
We used to
You've never
have
played-
we used to have a demo disc that had like one level of Hitman, and it was awesome. But I never got beyond that point because I was probably too young to be playing it when the first
Yeah.
one came out a long time ago. But this game looks dope.
So you've not played Hitman 1 or 2 of like the
No.
remade versions, the new Square ones? Okay. So I've played not all of the Hitmans, but I've played a good selection of them since Blood Money, which was out on the 360. So
That was the demo I played.
that's still to date my favorite Hitman game. I loved that game a lot, and that's the one that got me into Hitman. And I'm not I mean, full disclosure, I'm not a huge Hitman fan. I'm not one of these people that goes in and wants to learn the map perfectly and like master the kills and everything. I enjoy the story. I literally will rent it. Shout out to Boomerang. I will rent it for the story. I will play through the story, and then I'll send it back. So, yeah, this new one, it looks fantastic.
Is this on PS5?
Hitman, yeah, so I played it on PS5. It looks absolutely stunning. It plays really well. It's smooth. It's far. It like loads extremely fast, but that's obviously it's on the next gen console, so I'd be annoyed if it didn't load fast.
Yeah.
Interestingly, with this one, and I think there's some stuff with number 2 that like kind of links into this, and I won't go into any spoilers because with this one you can gain access to Hitman 1 and 2 as well, and the full story from that. So when you go into campaign, it's got the prologue, Hitman 1, Hitman 2, and Hitman 3 all on the disc.
Whoa.
But you have to pay to get access to Hitman 1 and 2 because the story links on across all 3 games. I have previously played them, so obviously I didn't pay for the access to that. But no, I mean, the campaign is not long by any means. I think it took me about 6 hours, maybe 7 hours tops. I think it's about 5 or 6 missions in total, maybe 7 missions, but obviously the missions vary in length depending on how good you are at the Hitman games and how quickly you can like spot ways to kill people and the ways that you can commit the assassinations and things like that. So like the first mission I did took me 2 hours because it was a lot of like figuring out the map and figuring out where things are. But then the second mission I did took me 25 minutes. So
Nice.
it really can depend on, I mean, and the difference being the first one, I did a lot of like stealthing with using poison and stuff because there's like a certain poison you can get that makes them need to go to the toilet. So I poison them, follow them into the toilet, kill them and leave them in the toilet stall. And like do those sort of things. But in the second mission, I was like, I don't know how I'm going to kill this person. It's really bugging me because she's being followed around by a bodyguard consistently. So I just stood on some stairs, pulled out a silenced pistol, shot her and walked away. And then I just hid in a cupboard for like 10 minutes until they stopped searching for me and then just changed outfit and left. Which is why it was so quick. But
Nice.
no, those 6 or 7 missions, they're good fun. They play really well. There's some nice challenges in there. There's a lot of options to complete your assassinations, and there's a lot of side stories. So if you've not played a Hitman game, you wouldn't know this. So you've got each mission has its main assassination target or targets because there's usually more than one. But as you go around the mission, because you don't get told where things are, you have to very much just walk around and figure out the map yourself. The map won't give you any guidance apart from you have to remember routes. So you have to physically remember the routes yourself. But as you go around, you'll pick up these mini side stories that you can then do. And each one will be different and it will be relevant to that mission. And they're not huge ones. I mean, there's one, for example, that involved you having to get this guy who was meant to be giving a tour to some people to the tour, but he was too busy doing something else. So you had to like kill someone to go and do this thing to get him to do his thing, and so that he went somewhere else so that you could then go and take it. It was all like it was a big thing, and I fucked it up, obviously. It didn't happen. So yeah, I mean, I'm not a very good assassin. Let's put it that way. But no, it plays, like I say, it plays really well. It's got all of its bonus content in there as well. Again, some of it you have to pay for access for because it's from previous games. So there's the sniper contracts, there's like contracts that people create, and this is one of the best parts of Hitman, in my opinion. So it has like a multiplayer-esque element, in that you can build contracts for other players to do. And the way you do that is you load up the map. You can set like, or at least you could on number 2. I didn't actually try it out on this one, but you can normally set like day and night, like what map you want to be on and sort of what time of day it is. And then you have to go to make sure that what you're asking people to do isn't impossible. You have to go and do that kill yourself in the way that you want other people to do it. So if you can come up with a really elaborate way to assassinate someone, and you can pick any NPC. It's down to you who you pick to be assassinated. So you go in, you pick the NPC or NPCs that you want to assassinate. You assassinate them in a specific way, and then that creates a contract for other players to then do the same, and they have to try and beat your score and assassinate them in the same way that you have, which I think is really interesting. As I say, I won't go into the story because of spoilers. But I think pretty much everything I've got to say on the matter. Anything that you guys want to know?
I mean, I want to say I really love that mechanic of creating your own content and contracts. That's a really cool thing to add to one of those games.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've always wanted to play these. I think one of the things that's always been kind of a reason why I didn't was because a friend, sure. When they played it, they said that a lot of the detection was just out of... It was wild. Like, you'd be just walking, and out of nowhere, the guards in whatever area you're at would just start shooting you in the face. These were older games, so I never really played the newer games. But, I would get extremely frustrated if I were to play a game like that where you don't know why you're getting shot in the face.
Yeah.
So,
I don't know if...
So there are two... so there's a few elements to it. I mean, firstly, full disclosure, I played it on casual because I am a casual. I was like, fuck am I playing this on professional? Because I'm just going to play it on easy mode and enjoy the game. But there is a couple of things to it. So you can, obviously taking different outfits gives you access to different areas as you would expect. That's sort of how that works. Although it makes me laugh every time because if you... there was a point I physically remembered this guy. I followed him, killed him, took his outfit, walked out, and somebody spoke to me who knew what I looked like, and when I went into the toilet, the character had hair, and then I've come out as a bald man just wearing his clothes. And they're like, oh, hello. And he's like, yes, I am that man. So, you've just gone and shaved your head in the toilet? But no, there's...
That's what I do.
So what I would... is it just,
Yeah.
That's it?
I just
go in.
I go places with one of my head shavers and come back out fresh and clean.
Yeah. So what I tend to do is I will try and find the outfit that gives me the access to every point on the map, or the most access possible. So there were missions where I started off as like dressed as a worker, and then I'd get a guard, and then I'd get like a bodyguard. And generally, when you get to like the bodyguard level, you're at a point where you can pretty much walk anywhere, and very few people will question you because you're at the highest rank of the guards involved. But what you find is, so you can press L1 or R1, I can't remember which, and it does like a hearing mode. So you can see guards through walls and stuff, and it highlights where the target is. What it also does is it highlights characters with like a little white dot above their head. And what that means is that they are characters that, irrelevant of that if you are in a costume, whatever outfit it is, if they've got a white dot above their head, if you get too close, they will spot you. So, and it changes per outfit. So you could walk into a room, for example, and there's a worker and a guard. And if you're wearing a guard outfit, he might have a white dot above his head because he knows all the other guards and he will spot you immediately. But if you're wearing a worker outfit, the guard won't spot you, but the worker might spot you. And they're dotted around the map in like areas. So you have to keep checking that to make sure you're not walking into someone who could easily identify you, even if you're wearing a specific outfit. So yeah, it's not just a case of putting an outfit and just walk wherever you want. You do have to kind of keep an eye out for what you're doing. But I mean, on casual, it's super fun because you can just, like I say, kill loads of people in the toilet. There was a
My
point.
live stream.
Well, there was a point I walked into a toilet and there was a guy in there, and I was like, I'm just going to take his outfit. So I killed him and then dragged him into a stall. But then as I was doing that, another guy walked in. I was like, oh no, what if he walks in there to go to the toilet? I'm going to have to kill him as well. So then I did put him in the toilet next door. But then somebody heard something. I can't remember what it was. I think I left the tap on and they came to investigate. And I was like, fuck's sake, now I'm going to have to kill him as well. So I put him in the phone. So literally, no matter what toilet cubicle you went in, was a body in. Just because I was like, I'm running out of places to put these bodies. I don't know what to do.
That's awesome.
But you do.
Everyone's gonna get wasted. Sorry, everyone.
Yeah.
Yes, I mean, yeah. But because it's a point-based system, so obviously the people that are really into those games, they're looking to get the maximum points, and if you kill anyone that isn't the target, you lose points. So you can knock people out, you can knock them unconscious, and you can hide them, so that that won't lose you points if you've done it stealthily. But yeah, if you kill people that you shouldn't, which I did a lot of, you will lose a lot of points.
It sounds like I'd be terrible at this game. The more you explain it and the more rules there are, you can't kill everybody because you screwed up. No.
I want to see you play it, jeez.
Well,
I think you should.
My comment is, if you said the campaign is pretty short, like at 6 hours, that doesn't seem like it's worth full price video game to me. I mean, I haven't played the other one, so I wouldn't be that invested into it in terms of the story or anything. But
if you can get some sort of good deal that gives you access to all three,
true,
on Hitman 3, I would 100% say do it, because they are very good games.
That's true. I'm sure within a couple of years you could get all three of them for $30 or something. That would totally be worth it. That's kind of a thing that I've gone to recently, at least me personally. I don't like to buy a single game, but if it's bundled with other games, it's totally worth it. Or I'm just playing more of the free stuff, because I used to buy a lot of sport games because I knew I'd play them to death. I'd play hours and hours and hours. But then stuff like, I bought Ghost of Tsushima because I really wanted to play it, and I knew it'd be a longer story. But once I play it, I'm done with it. So I waited till it was on sale, got it for a good deal. Otherwise, games like South Park: The Fractured Butthole, that came with Stick of Truth. So I knew that if I got two games, and I knew it was going to be fun and worth it, so I just try to bundle stuff like Mass Effect. My wife asked me about Mass Effect the other day, and I've never played it, and neither has she. So I was actually talking to my tattoo artist about this too. I knew that they were remaking one, or there's another one coming out, whatever, but I didn't know that it was coming with all of them.
Yeah, the trilogy.
So now I'm just going to wait for that and buy one game and get multiple games to play out of it. So I'm excited for that.
Yeah, well, I mean, this is why I rent it, because, as I say, I mean, I rent most of my games now, but Hitman turned up on Thursday, and I had it completed by Saturday morning.
Nice.
So like the main campaign, I applied for it quite quickly. But I would definitely recommend them. There's a lot of fun to be had. There's a lot of fun gadgets that you can play with. I did kill a woman by hiding in a vent and then blowing up a remote explosive, just because I was like, I can't figure out how to do this stealth because it's really bugging me. I can't figure out how to do it, so I'm just going to blow up and be done with it. That's my go-to. If I can't figure out how to do it stealth, I'll just do it loud and then hide. That's a reasonable way forward, isn't it? It's a reasonable assassin. I don't see an issue with it. But no, it's honestly, it's genuinely a very, very good game, and I think they've really hit the pinnacle of what Hitman is with this one. And if you are a Hitman fan, you would 100% enjoy it. If you're not a fan, this is a really good one to get into, because it could give you the access to the previous titles. So, yeah, I think that's pretty much everything I've got to say on that game. But yeah, you should give it a play, because it's good fun.
I'll keep an eye out for it.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's that. So, anyway, moving on then to our third and final segment of the week. So this week we're talking all about sequels. Not sequels that exist though, but sequels we would like to exist. So games that we have or have played in the past that we want a sequel to exist for, or may even have a sequel incoming, but you want it to be specific. You want it to be now, you want it to be in a specific way, anything like that. So we'll do the usual round table approach. So Jedi, if you can give me your first game that you would like to have a sequel for, and why?
So the first game that I'm picking up here is The Order 1886. This was a launch title for the PlayStation 4, I think.
Yeah, no, you're right.
It was a shorter game, but it was one of those early ones that it wasn't great. It wasn't a 10 out of 10 game. But the reason I want a sequel for this, for those that don't know, it's set in 1886 in this
What?
alternate kind of right. Shocking. In this like kind of alternate timeline where it's wherever you're at fighting against werewolves and just supernatural things, and you have these gadgets, you have kind of weapons of the time, but they're kind of technically boots. It was a really great world building game that had a great element around it, a good story. The mechanics are pretty fun. It just felt like it had potential to grow into something else, and I really wanted it to continue. I know that I'm trying to think what studio did the game. Can't think of the top of my head right now, but I don't even think they do main games that aren't VR now anymore. But like honestly, I saw potential to build this into a more of a franchise and continue it because it was fun. It could with a few tweaks to mechanics, with a few tweaks to the story, it could have been a 10 out of 10 game and probably another marquee PlayStation Sony franchise. That said, I doubt it'll ever come out, but if you guys haven't played it, grab it. I want to say it's on one of those cheap PlayStation Now or PlayStation Plus deals that are always out there. Definitely take a look at that one, though.
The developer was Ready at Dawn.
That's the one. Ready at Dawn.
What? So if for a sequel then, would you want it to be The Order 1886 2, or would you want it to be The Order 1887?
I mean, I would assume you would go to whatever the next year is. I wouldn't go with 2. But like just everything they could have done in that world, there is so much they could have expanded on. Order 1886 too. You know what? Just for the shits and giggles, I want that now. I absolutely want that.
Do you know what this game really, really reminded me of when it was first announced? Van Helsing. It had that Van Helsing vibe about it.
It
Really.
felt like it was in that era. Had those gadgets. Had that vibe and storytelling. Yeah.
Yeah, I never actually played it, but I mean, I'm game for it. I mean, I might go back and play it one day. I'll be game cool for that.
I would say if it's one of the games you can rent and you don't mind burning, I want to say it was a short game, 6 hours maybe. It was a really good one, just quickly burn through.
I mean, every game is one that I can rent. I think like there's very little that you can't rent now.
See, and we don't have those options really. Do you rent games ever, Jedi, or do you even have a place to rent them? We used to have Family Video, which was a big thing, but that just finally went out of business after like 50 years. Like we don't have rental anything anymore.
Is GameFly still a thing?
Maybe.
And didn't you used to have a company called Redbox as well?
Yeah,
I think that
Redbox is mostly, it's movies only now. Them having games was dumb because it's like, oh, you can rent a game for 2 nights for $5.99, but then you're like, oh, well, it's a 60 gig game, and that's going to take a while to install and update, and then maybe by tomorrow morning I'll get to play it. Like it was not great. We used to have Blockbuster, which obviously folded years ago, but we used to rent from them a lot, like in the PlayStation 2 and the Nintendo 64 days of my childhood. And then Family Video was a big one with my Xbox 360 up until maybe in the last 10 years I stopped doing that. But otherwise, we rented games all the time. But now it's like you got to buy it or you're not playing it.
Yeah, I mean, Boomerang for us is a quality service. I think if we were to look at price comparison, it would probably work out around $20 a month for you guys for what I get, and that's 2 games at any one time.
Nice.
For as long as you want, and when you send them back, they'll send you the next game on your list.
Is there a limit? Is there a limit you can check out per month?
No, not on the. I'm on an unlimited package, and I've got priority as well, so I get priority for the newer games. I can have as many games as I want in 1 month as long as they're on my list, but I can only have 2 at a time.
How long does it take? That's the only limit. How long does it take you to get a new game if you send one in?
It usually gets back to them within 24 to 48 hours, and I'll usually have one back again 48 hours the other way as long as I've got it on my list. As long as I've got stuff on my list that's available. Right now, it's taken a bit longer because all my games on my list are PS5 games, and they're obviously a lot more in demand.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, if I was to literally rent one, play it in a day, send it back, I could probably have at least 2 games delivered to me every single week. Well, 4 games if you did that with 2 separate games at a time.
Nice. Yeah, I wish we had something like that. I know GameFly was a big thing for a while, but are they still a thing?
It still is. It looks like it still is. I don't know if it's in your area, but I'm looking at it right now, and there is a GameFly. I used to do it, but at one time a game got lost on the way back from me to them, and they charged me, and I'm like, no, never going back to you again. Sorry. Fuck you.
Yikes. Yeah. No thanks.
Well, anyway, we're getting very off topic. Cheese, what's your first game of the list?
My first game that I think needs a sequel is Skate 3. This was a game changer for the Xbox 360 because it was the first skate game, I believe it was the first one, that really utilized the right joystick to perform all of the skateboard moves. You would have your modifier keys, but you would actually flick the skate deck with the joystick. So they've talked about this for a while. I saw that Xbox had actually reactivated the Skate 3 servers, and it's actually on Game Pass, I think, for actual Xbox. Skate 3 is. It's not on PC, sadly, yet. But they reactivated it, and they were expected to announce development of Skate 4, and I think they maybe have. I've read different things.
They did.
I think recently,
they
in the last,
announced it
3 or 4 months, they announced Skate 4 was coming.
at EA Play
EA,
Live
yeah.
over summer.
Okay. Anyway, it's a fun game. It's a really fun, different, and it's very different from Tony Hawk, which made it very interesting at the time because Tony Hawk's series at that point was starting to tank. But with Skate 3, I really hope that they continue to remake Tony Hawk games. So if they did a Tony Hawk 3 and 4 or even the Underground 1 and 2 as a remake release, as a sequel to Tony Hawk 1 and 2 remastered, that would be awesome because that was very well done. You don't have to reinvent the wheel, just make it look a little bit shinier and perform well on the new systems, and people are going to buy it. And I think based on how that first remaster did, it was very successful.
Yeah, definitely. It definitely like reinvigorated the skateboarding like game style.
Yeah, and I
game
think,
genre. That's what I was looking for.
And I think EA is recognizing that too, and they're like, yes, Skate 4, this is the perfect time to do it. While people are still like, you know what, that would be fun to play. I think Skate was the one too. I don't know if either of you ever played it, but there was like a meter. So when it might have been a later Tony Hawk game. Somebody might know. Anyway, you'd like go off the ramp, and if you bailed, it would tell you like how many bones and stuff you broke when you landed, and like you could get like a gnarly wipeout, and it was super cool. Just a weird little thing that they would throw in there that if you wanted to do it, you could, and see how much damage you can inflict upon your own body in the game.
Interested. Yeah. I mean, I'd be really interested to see how Skate 4 performs off the back of Tony Hawk remakes, because the original, like I say the original, the older Tony Hawk games and the like first Skate game, they all came out in that perfect storm of when skateboarding was like a big thing, and it was really
early
cool.
2000s,
Yeah, you had like the grunge days, and you had like bands like the Nirvana music and that, and it was in that point where like Blink 182 were really popular and out there, and like skateboarding was just seen as a fun, cool thing to do, and it's died out a lot amongst teens.
Yeah, and
so it'd be interesting to see.
Yeah, I tried to skateboard when I was that age, and I think Jedi, you did too, but I didn't skateboard. I like stood on a skateboard in the grass, and I'm like, I'm cool, but like to have this ability to be able to go back and listen to those soundtracks that we used to listen to and play the games that we used to play on Nintendo 64, but play it on PS4, and there's even online capabilities. That's a lot of fun. It definitely kind of hits you right in the nostalgia, and it definitely gives you a reason. Tony Hawk was only, I think, $30 when it came out, and that's 2 games, given you could literally beat them both, 100% them in less than like 4 hours. But I put so many hours into that game to get every one of the challenges done that it was 100% worth it, and I can't wait for either the future remasters or a Skate 4 where I can just dive in again.
And in all honesty, is there anyone that's around our age group that didn't try to skateboard when they were younger?
My mom didn't let me skateboard because she knew I'd end up dying. I'd end up breaking bones or something. So she's like, no.
Yeah, but
You can play the game
You at least-
instead.
You at least stood on one. You stood on one in the garden.
I didn't have one. I had to borrow a friend's to even be able to do that.
Oh, amazing. So moving on to my first game then, and kind of just linking in a little bit with skateboarding and like how that kind of capitalized on the perfect sort of that idea of being young and listening to and all those things that we enjoyed when we were in our youth. And this is the game Bully. Have either of you guys played Bully?
I've always wanted to, but never have.
Absolutely fantastic game. So it's GTA but with kids, and that's pretty much what it is. You played. It was such a great story as well. So you played as this bully. You played as a kid who had been kicked out of a school for getting in fights and for being a troublemaker, and then you end up in this like proper, almost like super preppy school. But every like stereotype in it was like super stereotype. So the nerds were super nerdy, and like the goth kids were super goth, and then the jocks were super. Yeah, like it was like the pure, almost comical level of stereotyping with these characters. You stayed in a dorm room there, and there was the girls and boys rooms dorms were split, and you had to go to your lessons during the day, and that helps build up certain like abilities and stats. Like you learn in chemistry how to make like stink bombs and stuff like that, but you'd also get questioned if you were caught out of lessons. You had to sneak around when you were in the school, but then it opened up and you could go out into the town and like you'd get like a paper round and shit like that. And I'm making it all sound really boring right now, because that was all of that stuff was pretty much side stuff. The main story was that almost that GTA-esque of building up relationships with these different groups, and there was a lot of fighting in it, because what kind of came about is, although you were a bully yourself, you ended up becoming almost like the school's hero. Like that you were there to stand up for the nerdy kids against the jocks. You were there to make you were the bully of the bullies. That's kind of what the game went for. You were there to bully the bullies. But it was just fantastically done, and I would love to see not necessarily even like I'd quite happily for it to follow the GTA route of it being brand new characters, brand new school, brand new setting, like they do with all the GTAs. Like maybe have the original bully show up as an adult, have him as like a cameo now as an adult. That would be pretty cool. And just go back, like breaking into like this greaser's hideout so that you can throw paint over their car just to piss them off, and like going to the fair and then getting chased on your BMX away from these kids that are trying to fight you. And like it was just ridiculous, but in the best way. And they 100% need to make a sequel to it.
Has that been announced or just teased?
It's been like people want it to happen. People have been trying to will it to happen. Nobody's announced anything. There's been rumors of somebody at Rockstar working on that, because it was a Rockstar game, and I remember when it was coming out, people were pissed because they thought it was going to equate to, oh, this is GTA but for kids, so this little kid's going to be going around and slapping and killing hookers or something. But it's been teased. It needs to happen though. I agree with Shane 100% on this one.
Absolutely fantastic game.
It looks like you can get it on Steam too. I didn't know that. I've never played it, so I might have to check it out. I thought it was an older PlayStation game, right?
It's a
PS2 and
PS2 game.
No, it looks like you can get it on Steam.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm pretty sure you can get it on the PlayStation and Xbox, like their classic store, whatever Xbox calls it. I know that it's on like you can get it as a PlayStation 2 Classic, and for the PlayStation 4 and 5. And I'm assuming you can do the same on Xbox, like as a classic game. And to be honest, if you've never played it, I 100% would advise you to pick it up and give it a whirl. But what I will say, and I don't know how long ago you last played it, Jedi, but when it comes to mechanics, it hasn't aged well.
I imagine it hasn't.
Like any GTA game, like you go back and play GTA, the older GTA games, and you look at, what was it, GTA 3 and Vice City, for example, they haven't aged well. That's like when you go back and you're like, oh God, this is janky as fuck. But Bully is the same. It hasn't aged massively well, and if they're not going to make a Bully 2, fine, but at least give me a full remake of Bully 1 on new generation so that people can experience that game again, because it was great. The only problem I do think, though, is that they're going to struggle to get, because of the name Bully, I think they will struggle to get it through censorship.
So the one thing I'll say about it is potentially that might be a struggle. I mean, they had that problem initially when it came out in the optics. I think their struggle right now is Rockstar got a taste of that sweet life with GTA 5 going online and giving them shitloads of money all the time, every month. They did that with Red Dead. They're trying, if they are doing Bully, they're going to throw in some sort of online element to that is going to kind of lead into what you're saying about the problems of being a bully and censorship. A bully game, a game called Bully online is going to be a shit show.
Yeah, exactly, and it's going to be a real problem for them to try and manage that when the game is about being, even if you are being a bully to the bullies, you're still being a bully. And our current, I mean, when we've looked at, and we talk about mental health earlier in the show, and when we've looked at like the last few years and some of the things that have happened in school, some of the horrific things that have happened because of bullying, like, can Rockstar really put that game out there from an optic level? Probably not. Do I still want them to? 100%. Maybe just change the name.
Yeah,
make the game, change the name.
At the same time, though, it's not like it's rated E for everyone, where like kids are able to get this without parental guidance. I mean, it's like Grand Theft Auto has been blamed for all sorts of violence in the past. Like, there's a certain level where it's like, okay, you have to realize that this is a game, and if you don't realize that it's a game, you shouldn't be playing it. And that's why I think they make it the highest level of, I guess, commercially M, because I think there's that higher one, adults only or whatever. But
AO.
Yeah. But if it's rated mature, then you should be of sound mind and age to do it, to play it.
Yeah, and I imagine that if they were to bring that out, it would have the same rating as any other GTA game would.
Maybe they make Bully take place in college or something instead of of a middle school or high school or something. I don't know. Call it Bully graduation. There you go.
I think it's just that title of Bully. It's that's where they would fall down. But then again, as I say, make the game, change the name.
But how's the name any worse than Grand Theft Auto or Hitman? Or, I mean, like, there's so many games that are based around violent ideas. Bully's not even that violent. I think it's because it's tied to kids in schools. Yeah, but they're not the audience. That's the issue.
Right, they're not. But the audience isn't going to be the problem. The problem's going to be anybody, a political figure grabbing it and saying, this is what's wrong with censorship in video games. And charging it in a very stupid, negative way.
But don't you think they'll do that regardless of the title of the game? If the content's still there, it doesn't matter if the game's called Rainbow Kitten. It's still going to be like, oh no, that cat pooped somewhere.
It's the connotation of the word, though, isn't it? If someone says the word bully, as in like, oh, he bullied me, your immediate assumption will be it's related to children. Because although adults do get bullied, most people, if you use the word bully, won't associate that with adults bullying adults. They will associate it with children, because most of the bullying that's spoken about is within schools, not within adult society, although we do know the bullying in the workplace does happen.
Right. I just feel like
it's that connotation of the word.
I feel like with Grand Theft Auto also being a Rockstar game, though, that people are kind of like, okay, this is what they do. Like, I don't feel like Grand Theft Auto is thrown out there any more than any other game, at least nowadays, because people are like, okay, this game's been around for 20 years or something. People know what to expect. Grand Theft Auto is actually a pretty violent and messed up crime. But like,
mate, I'm not disagreeing with you.
I know. I'm just saying, if this was a new game, if this was something brand new that was being proposed and a brand new game coming out, I 100% agree that they'd have their issues. But I think since it's Rockstar doing Rockstar, they should just throw it out there, and people are going to buy it just like they bought the first one, just like they bought the 5 Grand Theft Auto games, and just like they'll buy the 6th one if that ever actually happens.
Well, Rockstar, if you're listening, as I'm sure every single fan of Rockstar has ever said, make Bully 2.
Do it.
But moving on to Jedi, your second game.
All right. Second game is, I would say, a top 5 game of mine that I play it once a year. I absolutely love it. I've been playing it ever since it came out on the 360. Alan Wake. The game is basically you're a writer in a Washington little community. Your wife goes missing, and oh shit, weird shit's happening all over the place. People are turning into monsters. You have to, it's really this big fight with the light versus dark. You kind of questioning your sanity. You being blamed for your wife. Like it is a really good, fun game. Mechanics probably didn't age the best, but I will say that out of any story, out of any game that I have played from the 360 era, that game, I love it and will always go back to it and I will always remember it. There's one in particular scene where you are playing with these two old retired rock stars on their farm, and they are rocking out, shooting fireworks at these monsters coming at you because the light hurts them. It is one of the coolest levels and fights ever in a game that I have ever experienced. Now, Alan Wake is done by Remedy Entertainment. They just came out with Control. They had DLC that actually tied into it. I feel like they're getting closer to coming out with a sequel. They need to complete it because they've left the game on a cliffhanger in a good spot. That said, I have a feeling that they might not ever revisit and do a sequel because they actually have a quote from Stephen King talking about a good horror story doesn't give you all the answers. So they might just keep that in their back pocket. But I do know fans of Alan Wake really want this game. I want to continue that story. Great setting, great mechanics. Just do it. Give it to me now, Remedy.
Yeah, Remedy. Stop listening to Stephen King. What does he know?
And is it based on a Stephen King story, or is Alan Wake a Stephen King character, or what's that connection again?
The connection is Alan Wake is a writer, and he writes horror.
It's just influenced by Stephen King?
So I don't know if it's influenced, but they do mention and name drop other horror writers, and they just bring that up at kind of the end where they make that reference. A good horror is not getting all the answers you want, leaving you questioning things.
And arguably, Stephen King is one of the greatest horror writers of ever. So,
I mean, I guess. No, yeah, the dude's a stud there.
I mean, I've read a couple of his books, but, they're all right. Average.
We say that, but I mean, how many movies came out from his books? Shining.
And how many of those
Misery.
movies suck so bad? Have you ever seen Dreamcatcher? Because it's one of the worst movies I have ever seen, and it's based on a
Never.
Oh my god! If you can find it, definitely watch it. It was on Netflix last I knew. It's so bad, but
I 100% joke. Like, Stephen King's books are good. They are great.
Yes. He does good stuff. I think after I saw Misery, I'm like, I'm never going to watch a movie based on his books ever again. Seeing someone get hobbled, I do not want to see that ever again.
this says it was
tell you
based.
what.
This says it was based on Stephen King and David Lynch, in particular, Twin Peaks.
Interesting.
That makes sense considering the story and elements. Yeah.
Interesting.
It's on Game Pass, I believe. I should play this. I think it's on Game Pass.
Yeah,
for
you
PC.
should.
I 100%. I think you should grab it
Is
and
it
play.
horror?
It is a really good. Kind of. Yeah, I would say yeah. It's horror. Your third person shooter, but it's not really shooting much. It's grab it, play the first level, talk to me.
Maybe I'll stream it later.
Essentially, you will shit your pants.
There's some really good parts.
I need to do laundry anyway, so I'm all for it.
And on regards to games that you're playing then, what's your second one, Cheese?
My second one is The Simpsons Hit and Run. Now,
Great game. Classic.
Yes.
you guys can probably tell me more about what this was about than I remember, because this was a game that I used to rent on PlayStation 2. And at that time, I loved The Simpsons. I'd rent like the box sets from the library to watch because I loved The Simpsons, but I definitely didn't understand the humor to the degree that I would get the jokes now. But from what I remember about this game, you could play as multiple characters, and this was a follow-up to Simpsons Road Rage, right? I think. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I know.
Road Rage is the first
Sure,
one,
why not?
which was like
We'll go
crazy.
with that.
That was like Crazy Taxi. Then Simpsons Hit and Run was like a 3D rendered Springfield, and there was all sorts. I mean, like everything was there. The bar, the Quickie Mart, all of this stuff was there, and to be able to play in the Simpsons world was so much fun, and to run around and see the characters and talk to them, and you do these different little missions and stuff. But that's really all I remember. Somebody just streamed this not too long ago that I watched, but I just don't remember the whole premise of this game. And when
wasn't Hit and Run? It was, like you say, Road Rage was very much like Crazy Taxi, and Hit and Run it had that Crazy Taxi element to it, but you could get out your car
Yes.
a bit more like GTA. You could get out your car and interact with
Yep.
the houses and people and stuff. It was kind of like a middle ground
was
between
an open
GTA and
world.
Crazy Taxi.
Yeah, it was like an open world Springfield.
Yeah, it was a great game. I remember that. I mean, I don't remember a lot from it, but I remember it was good.
Same. That's basically it. I mean, it says game based on The Simpsons, and it was the second game in the installment. Follows the Simpsons family and their friend Apu, who witnessed many strange incidents that occur in Springfield. Security cameras, mysterious vans, crop circles, and the new and improved flavor of the popular drink Buzz Cola that causes insanity. So it sounds, I mean, honestly, if I could get my hands on this again, I would 100% play it. I'm going to see if I can maybe catch a copy at the local hobby store, or maybe even eBay or something, but it was a lot of fun. I might have played it on GameCube, actually. I don't remember, but it was
Good
fun.
old GameCube.
Good old GameCube.
Yeah, it was a good game. That was a very good game.
And I think The Simpsons was probably more popular back then, but I think once
100%.
The Simpsons ends, it's going to become more popular than it's ever been, though, because there's going to be all these comparisons like, oh, The Simpsons called this back in 1996, and then it actually happened like in 2012. It's going to be one of those shows that's going to be better after it's over, I think.
I mean, if you've been around for 3-4 decades, you've done everything, so everything that's going to happen has already been on The Simpsons.
I watched like the first 10 seasons. Those are like the best ones to me when they were still kind of fresh and new and the only one doing it before it got saturated with South Park and Family Guy and all these 1,000 other things.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't watched Simpsons in a long time now, but I see what you're saying with that. Solid game.
Yeah.
Solid choice.
If they don't make a new one, which they probably wouldn't, a remaster would be pretty easy. The developer was Radical Entertainment. I don't know if they're still a thing. They did the Crash Bandicoot trilogy and Prototype, but that was
probably
a
owned
long
by
time ago.
probably owned by THQ like everyone else.
They ceased operations in 2012.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean the rights haven't been bought by someone though. Again,
That's true.
probably THQ, because I swear they have the rights to every game in existence at the moment. They just gobble up rights and everywhere they can see it.
But that's smart because like you can't make a dud of okay, I'm going to take that back. You can make a dud of a remake, but you don't have to do that much to change it. Just make it look pretty with new graphics like Tony Hawk did. Don't change much. And it's a great retry. It's a great nostalgic thing that people get to play again.
Yeah, definitely. Well, so from one game that's probably never going to get made to another game that's probably never going to get made. And I've spoken about this before on the podcast, and that is Brutal Legend. A Brutal Legend 2 would just be the best thing ever, and they needs it to happen, and it's never going to happen. And it makes me sad that it's never going to happen, but it needs to happen because it was so freaking good. That's all I've got to say on the matter.
I actually never got to play this game, and I'm bummed about it, but I just saw that you can buy it online, so I might have to play it.
Honestly, it's so good. Again, so it's that open world. It had like an open world element to it. You played as this character voiced by Jack Black, and you went around this. You were in. I can't remember if you were like transported to, or if you just woke up in, or you just lived in a world where rock music is everything, literally everything. And you have like a power guitar, and you have to fight your way through these monsters, and it just had that. It reminds me, when I think about it, like a bit of like those style of games like Far Cry or Shadow of Mordor, where you're going around and finding the camps, and then you've got to take down the different camps and like fight the army to slowly bring down each area, and then take back the areas, and you're like fighting for good rock versus bad rock. It was just ridiculous in every way, but it had such a great soundtrack and was just such a great game. And Jack Black is great. And I know I've said all this stuff before, but it's so good. It needs to happen, and it'll be fantastic. Again, if they're not going to make a 2, just remake 1 for me, and I'll be happy.
I think they will do a sequel. I mean, Tim Schafer, they got Jack Black in for Psychonauts 2 for the that one that's coming out. So I feel like they're getting close. They're talking. They're in the same room. Come on, it's so close to happening. It'll happen. I have hope. Maybe.
I hope so, and hopefully it's not an Xbox exclusive.
It might be because of Double Fine, but we'll see.
You can buy this one on Steam though too right now. I see.
Yes, but I want it on PS5.
Yeah,
I want it in all its
but
shiny glory.
hey, man, I'm just glad if I get to play it at all. I know it's on Game Pass though, too. The Xbox version, it's on Game Pass, not PC. But I guess it's only $15 on Steam, just like Bully. So it's worth checking
Again,
out.
I mean, it's definitely worth checking out because it's a fantastic game, and yeah, it fills me with so much joy thinking about it. I get so excited thinking about that game. I just love.
I was so pissed when I was watching, I think it was a Psychonauts 2 trailer, and they were showing Jack Black. I didn't realize it was Psychonauts 2, and I 100% thought it was a Brutal Legend 2 until the Psychonauts started. And I was like so pumped. I thought, I'm like, well, this is cool still, but fuck, come on, don't do that to
Yeah,
me.
just don't tease me like this.
Don't put Double Fine, Tim Schafer, and Jack Black in the same room and tell me it's not Brutal Legend 2.
Exactly.
Nice.
Exactly. But we should probably look at wrapping up. I know we had a couple of honourable mentions down, but looking at the time, we should probably look at wrapping up because we're probably pushing the hour and 30, hour and 40 mark,
Yep.
I'd say. I can't remember when we started recording.
We're at exactly an hour and 40 minutes right now.
Like, so good at keeping time. Cheese, do you want to do Mike's bit of wrapping up, or do you want me to do it?
Ooh.
Oh, I'm putting a lot of pressure on you now.
Ooh, I'm going to do it.
Yeah, it's all at the bottom of the notes.
Yep.
If you want to remember what's there.
The new episode of Triple XP comes out every Monday, and a blog is updated every Friday. Let us know your favorite moments in the comments below. That is our only way to know what it is you guys liked and what you would like to hear more of from us. Find us on YouTube and Spotify, and don't forget to subscribe.
Yeah.
Good enough.
And,
You forgot something. You forgot to tell Max to buy a Ghost Runner.
oh yeah, you forgot
Buy
that.
Ghost Runner. I don't even want to buy Ghost Runner though, so I'm not gonna. I watched you play it, and that was enough of it. We got you to buy it because you're a sucker, but nobody else buy Ghost Runner. Jedi did it.
There you go. Jesus said it. The new Mike has said it. Don't buy Ghost Runner.
Don't call me the new Mike.
No, that's it. That's your name now. New Mike.
New Mike, I like it.
Oh God, I'm gonna go cry.
And on that note, then, it's bye from me, and you guys,
It's bye from me.
Bye from me too.
goodbye.
Bye.
Triple FD. Triple FD. Triple FD.